Robert Browning's My Last Duchess is a dramatic monologue that delves deep into themes of power, control, jealousy, and art. Set during the Italian Renaissance, the poem is a conversation between the Duke of Ferrara and an unnamed emissary, who is arranging the Duke's next marriage. As the Duke proudly displays a portrait of his deceased wife, the titular Duchess, the poem gradually reveals dark undertones of his character, offering insights into the dynamics of power and possession within relationships. Structure and form. The poem is written in iambic pentameter and rhymed couplets, known as heroic couplets. Despite this formal structure, Browning employs enjambment, which makes the poem read more like natural speech. This contrast between the rigid form and the conversational tone reflects the Duke's carefully constructed facade of refinement and control, while revealing his underlying emotional volatility and authoritarian nature. Themes. 1. Power and control. The Duke's obsession with control is evident not only in his description of the Duchess but also in his command over her portrait. He reveals that the painting is kept behind a curtain, and only he chooses when to reveal it. This is symbolic of the Duke's desire to control who gets to see the Duchess and how they perceive her, both in life and after death. His recounting of her faults shows that he could not bear her independent spirit. He wanted to control not just her actions but also her feelings, and when he couldn't, he likely arranged her death. 2. Jealousy and insecurity. The Duke's jealousy is hinted at throughout the monologue. He was unhappy that the Duchess was easily pleased and treated all gestures, whether a gift from her husband or a mere compliment, with the same level of appreciation. His inability to tolerate her warmth and kindness toward others reveals a profound insecurity. He craved to be the sole recipient of her admiration and was infuriated by her equal treatment of others. This excessive jealousy, coupled with his need for dominance, drives him to eliminate her, seeing no other way to regain control. 3. Art and objectification. Art plays a central role in the poem, functioning as a tool for the Duke's control. The Duchess is literally reduced to a piece of art, a portrait that can no longer defy him, speak to others, or show affection. Her transformation from a living being into an object encapsulates the Duke's desire for possession. In life, she was too independent and too vibrant for his liking. In death, she is perfectly contained within the frame, immortalized on his terms. The Duke's treatment of the Duchess as a mere object of art mirrors his attitude toward women in general, seeing them as possessions rather than as autonomous individuals. 4. Social and gender critique. Browning also critiques the social hierarchies and gender dynamics of the time. The Duke represents the patriarchy and aristocracy, using his wealth and status to exert control. His attitude reflects the belief that a woman's role is to serve, please, and obey her husband. The Duchess, through the Duke's eyes, fails in this role by being too lively and independent. Browning subtly criticizes this worldview by making the Duke's behavior repugnant to the reader, despite his calm, measured speech. Character of the Duke. The Duke emerges as a deeply complex and sinister character. His calm, calculated tone throughout the poem contrasts with the horrifying implications of his words. He never explicitly states that he had the Duchess killed, but his chilling remark, "I gave commands, then all smiles stopped together," strongly suggests it. His unemotional recounting of these events shows his cold, narcissistic nature. What's more disturbing is that he appears entirely unaware of how monstrous he sounds, as he nonchalantly returns to discussing the marriage dowry after sharing the story of the Duchess's demise. This lack of self-awareness, combined with his obsession with control, makes him a classic example of a sociopathic figure, someone who cannot empathize with others but is obsessed with maintaining power. Irony and subtext. Much of the poem's power comes from Browning's use of dramatic irony. The Duke believes he is presenting himself as a refined, cultured man, but the reader perceives the darker truth beneath his words. His recounting of the Duchess's behavior, intended to showcase her faults, instead highlights his own shortcomings, his insecurity, possessiveness, and capacity for cruelty. The emissary, and by extension, the reader, realizes the Duke's true nature even as the Duke remains oblivious to how his monologue has exposed him. Conclusion? My Last Duchess is a masterful exploration of power, control, and the dynamics of human relationships. Browning uses the Duke's monologue to critique both the possessive nature of patriarchy, and the dehumanizing effects of wealth and status. Through the Duke's disturbing yet subtly revealed character, Browning invites readers to reflect on the destructive potential of unchecked power and the objectification of individuals, especially women. The poem's rich layers of irony and psychological insight make it a brilliant study of the darker aspects of human nature. Please do subscribe the channel and hit the bell icon so that you may get notified for new videos. Thanks.